Welcome back to sermon study. This is in Habakkuk, chapter 1. That's where we've been studying from. I want to encourage you to look into sermonstudy.com. Go to that website, sermonstudy.com. Check out and see what we have there. And you can get a copy of all my notes and use them in your church. Just want to make mention of that. Be sure to look at that website and check it out. All right, Habakkuk, chapter number 1, and we've been in this chapter the last couple of times. Should finish it up today. And this is where God is passing judgment upon Israel. Israel has sinned and done things against God, and God is bringing his judgment. In the beginning, Habakkuk looks at it, he sees it, and he says, "Why aren't you doing something, Lord? The sin is awful, and this is terrible." And, this is the theme of him, and he said, something ought to be done about this, And then when God says he's going to do something, wait a minute, now be careful, don't overdo it, kind of thing. So he pleads with God and to have mercy and have that remnant. And God sends the Chaldeans, an enemy, to bring his judgment on Israel. They're going to come through and wipe the place. And God's able to do that. God can do what he wants to do. And Habakkuk, he begins to plead with God concerning his covenant people. And deep down, Habakkuk believes that God will intervene to prevent the destruction of his followers. And he acknowledges God's power in this situation. He's confident that God can put an end to the punishment if he so chooses. And speaking both for himself, Habakkuk, and for others who remain faithful, Habakkuk understands the necessity of chastisement for unfaithfulness. And they had been unfaithful. And he knew judgment had to come, but at the same time, he wanted God to have mercy. But he's hopeful that God will intervene before total destruction occurs. That's what he's hopeful for. So we're going to look now in Habakkuk chapter 1, verse 13. That's where we're going to begin. And it says here, "Thou art of purer eyes than to behold evil, and canst not look on iniquity." That's God. He's never been able to look upon sin and iniquity. He couldn't look on Jesus Christ when he died on the cross. "Wherefore lookest thou upon them that deal treacherously, and holdest thy tongue, when the wicked devoureth the man that is more righteous than he?" Habakkuk is pointing out to God that the Chaldeans, Babylonians, who they really are, that they're more wicked than God's people who are unfaithful and sinful. He said, now remember, God, these Babylonians, these Chaldeans, they're more wicked than your people. More wicked than the Israelites. And he's questioning why God would use such a sinful group of people, the Chaldeans, to discipline his own people, the Israelites. Habakkuk emphasizes that God is holy and cannot tolerate sin without annihilating it. He also notes that God seems to be ignoring the sins of the Babylonians while punishing Israel, God's own people, and who are relatively more righteous than those executing the judgment. That's what we get from verse 13. "Thou art of purer eyes than to behold evil, and canst not look on iniquity. Wherefore lookest thou upon them that deal treacherously, and holdest thy tongue when the wicked devoureth the man that is more righteous than he. Verse 14, and makest men as the fishes of the sea, as the creeping things that have no ruler over them. It's a question. And makest men as the fishes of the sea, as the creeping things that have no ruler over them. Habakkuk is appealing to God to see the merciless way they are coming and sweeping away God's people. They're not very merciful. And just like as fishermen catches fish in his net without discrimination, the creeping things and fish have no one to take their part or to defend them or offer them an escape route. That's what he's saying here. And Habakkuk thinks God's people no longer have God on their side to take up for them, to defend them, or to offer them an escape route. And that concerns Habakkuk. Now, remember in the beginning of the chapter, he's like, I see all this sin. It has to be punished. Something has to be done. But now, he's saying, hey, there's nobody to defend them, Lord. And remember, these people that's doing this to Israel, they're more wicked than what your people are. Verse 15. They take up all of them with the angle. They catch them in their net and gather them in their drag. Therefore they rejoice and are glad. Again, he's talking about comparing it to fishing. And this is just saying that this army of the Chaldeans has taken whole nations before them. He's talking about what the Chaldeans, the Babylonians, have done in the past. They've just taken over. They have no mercy. They don't spare anyone. The net of a fisherman catches everything in front of that net that's in its capacity. And he's saying this army rejoices over the capture of all these people, just like a fisherman does when he's had a large catch of fish. And Habakkuk is now pointing out to God and his burden for the people of God, because he sees them being captured by the enemy with no way to get out of it. And the enemy is taking credit and rejoicing over it. And that bothers Habakkuk. See, that really bothers him. These sinful, evil people just taking over and killing all you people. He's looking for mercy. He's looking for mercy from God. Verse 16. Therefore they sacrifice unto their net and burn incense unto their drag, dragging the net, because by them their portion is fat and their meat plenteous. These Chaldeans, Babylonians, they do not even recognize the fact that God has helped them make this catch. They do not realize that it's God that's in control and that God is allowing them to do this. They don't recognize it. They don't see it. That bothers Habakkuk greatly. They think they're false gods. They praise their false gods for their victories. And they burn incense to these false gods. That bothers Habakkuk. He said, not only that, but the enemy is getting fat off this. They're enjoying plenty while your people are suffering. That bothers Habakkuk. He did not want to see evil people to gain from this, rejoice over it, praise their false gods for it. That is troubling, and it troubled Habakkuk greatly. Verse 17, the last verse here. in this chapter. Shall they therefore empty their net and not spare continually to slay the nations? Who's going to stop them, Lord, if it ain't you? See, as soon as they have caught one group of people, these Babylonians, they go out with their net again and they catch another group, another nation. And this is the way of this evil army. They go from one nation to another, just taking people captive and killing those who are not useful to them. They're never satisfied. They have in mind conquering the whole world. And in one sense, Habakkuk is saying, who's going to stop them? If you allow this, then who's going to stop it? It's just going to keep going on and on and on and on. And that bothers Habakkuk. And it's as if Habakkuk don't think God is aware of this. And Habakkuk reminds God of this. It's like God don't know what's going on or see what's going on. And this is a picture. This is what I want you to get out. This is a picture of how it is with sin. Sin just captures, kills, steals, destroys everything in its path. Satan rejoices. Sinful people rejoice, and sin, as it destroys homes and lives, it rejoices. That bothers this preacher. It bothers most preachers that are men of God. How can this go on? Why? Why does it have to be this way? You see lives destroyed. You see homes destroyed. You see marriages destroyed, and babies suffering because of it. Habakkuk's pleading, and let me just say, it is our job to plead with God about these things. Because if we do not plead for God and ask God to step in and take away sin, our sin, the sins of others, and our oppression from the devil, then we have no hope. That's why we pray. And that's why we call on God. It is concerning when people are sinful and out of the will of God, because we know what sin can do and what it will do. And so we begin to pray and call out to God and say, Lord, please, you've got to intervene. We need your help. We have no hope without God. We need God in our lives every day to help us overcome sin, to help us overcome the devil. May God help us. We need the Lord's help. I need the Lord's help. You need the Lord's help. We all need God's help. And sin will do that. He'll come in and just catch us and snare us and take us down if we let it. But we cannot let that happen. We've got to pray. We've got to call on the Lord and ask God for his help. I've got good news for you. God's on the throne, and God can overcome sin. He can overcome it. He can win against it when we can't, and we can't. But God can on our behalf, and he can help us. I've seen him do it. That's what salvation's all about. When you give your life to the Lord, you're saying, God, I surrender to you, and I give the battle to you to help me overcome sin. And that's what God does. Amen. That's the lesson for today. I know it's shorter than usual. But here's some of the questions that you can find now on our notes, if you want to subscribe and get that. Here's some questions. Habakkuk had prayed many times for God to do what? Verse 2, it appears that Habakkuk had begun to doubt what? What kind of army are the Chaldeans? How will they treat the kings and princes? We go over this in these notes and these videos. Who does this army give credit for their victory? What is Habakkuk requesting in verse 12? And what is Habakkuk complaining about? The army God sent that is compared to a fishnet. You can find these answers within this. And hope that's a blessing to you. And I hope you can use this material to teach Sunday school or preach it. And just little by little, verse by verse, expository preaching, expository teaching. That's what sermon study is about. God bless you. I hope you've enjoyed it. Be sure to go to our website, sermonstudy.com. I'm Brother Scott Thomas. Thank you.